Bonjour. Bonjour. Sit down, please. So, this is to be signed today, this morning?
Yes, please.
Okay.
It's a lot of folders.
Ok, alors. Donc, aujourd'hui.
Welcome to a day in the life of Jaume Duch. Originally from Barcelona, the EU devotee has dedicated the last 20 years of his life to European politics, relocating his whole world to the EU capital of Brussels. With 736 MEPs, 7 political parties and thousands of civil servants and staff, the European Parliament is no stranger to a scandal. And the one man who has to face the press in these sticky situations as the spokesperson of the European Parliament is Mr. Jaume Duch. So as you can imagine, one day is never the same, and some days are harder than others, especially considering the challenges facing the European Union today.
I don't think there is an average day, because this is a very complex institution, and you cannot imagine the enormous amount of different things that happen in the Parliament in just one day. But in my case, the question is how to combine both the responsibilities. Being the spokesman, which means that you have to be in different meetings, you have to follow the news in the Parliament, you should know more or less what happens, not only during the plenaries, also for the committee meetings and so on. And then at the same time you are the director of a huge part of our Directorate General, which means more or less 200 people, and it takes a big part of your day. Financial files, human resources, coordinating the editorial policy of our service, lots of coordinating meetings. So it depends. Of course, in Strasbourg it's more hectic. In Brussels you can planify a little bit more, and then you have to adapt to the news and to what happens in the Parliament. I like a lot this job. It's quite tough sometimes, but I like it a lot. And in fact, as you probably know, there's the possibility to change of job inside the Parliament. There is what we call mobility, but until now I'm really happy what I'm doing in the press service. Also, probably because we are in a kind of a permanent evolution. When I start 20 years ago, of course, the work with the press was less important and less key as policy in the Parliament. Now, with the Treaty of Lisbon, with the Treaty of Maastricht and Amsterdam, of course, also, this work has changed a lot. 20 years ago, we were always hunting for journalists in some way. Now you have all the press corps of Brussels, which is always trying to know what happens in the Parliament. So the situation changed in a radical way, in a dramatic way. There are easy days, and then there are also difficult days. And of course, when we are confronted to this kind of scandals or to this kind of behavior, it's much more difficult. But for us, the principle or the most important thing is to show to the press that we are responsible people, that we will always tell to the journalists the truth, that we are not here for doing a spin or for trying to divert what happened. We explain things and we put all the things in the context, because in my opinion the problem sometimes is that a part, maybe a small one, but a part of the press don't look to the background or don't look to the landscapes. They just take the scandal as such, and they don't think about the fact, for example, that the European Parliament is much more complicated or much more difficult to manage than a national parliament or than a small administration. We are 4,000, 5,000 people here in Brussels. So from time to time, of course, there are things which are wrong, but you should put it in a more broad context.
Where the members of Parliament, elected by you, pass European laws.
languages.
It's in 22 languages. Welcome to the Parliament. Because it's multilingual.
And
yeah, you can be sure that in 20 years here there are strange things happening from time to time. Maybe the situation I will always remember happened at the beginning of my time with the President of the Parliament. When I became spokesman for the President, I was quite young. I would say I was probably still quite inexperienced. And I remember very well that 2 or 3 weeks after starting working with him, I had to prepare a draft speech for the plenary about the 40th anniversary of the signature of the Treaty of Rome. And I did it. I prepared the speech. And also I prepared at the same time an article on the same subject for a Spanish newspaper. And when everything was finished, I gave to the President the draft speech, and then also I gave to his secretary the article for the newspaper. And it seems that there was a kind of mix-up there. This I don't know. Still, I don't know exactly what happened. But the result is that the President came to the chamber with the article and not with the speech. And of course, when he started speaking, he immediately understood that this was not the right paper. So he closed his folder and he started speaking freely, not following, of course, which in fact was not the speech, but an article. And this was probably my worst half an hour in my life in the European Parliament. I really thought, okay, this is the end of your work in the cabinet. You were not prepared to work in here, so now you will be fired. But not at all. I must say that the President had a big sense of humor. He was, I would say, even amused about this situation. He also understood that this was not my responsibility. So there I understood that it wouldn't be so difficult to work for the President. And in fact, I enjoyed a lot working for him during 2 years and a half. Goodbye, and thank you very much for having shared this time with me.